spicy.
The rum on that is just that's all it is.
Everyone in the service industry has a story. Crazy customers, wild orders, and WTF moments. Do you want to start a tab? The podcast here to bring you those tales from behind the bar. My name's Carl, and I'm fucking tired today.
My name's Riley, and I am also tired.
Yeah. And today we have another guest. This is going to make it 4 weeks in a row that we had a guest. It's been a while. So today we have John, the best bartender in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yes.
What's going on, John? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's the Lord's Day, so we get to hang out and drink and talk, which is great.
Right, and not work.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
People would call this work, but I call this just hanging out with the camera in front of our face.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you and I, well, all three of us like to just sit. When we come to your bar, you come to the bar I used to work at, just hang out and talk. So
yeah, just shoot the shit.
This is the same thing.
This is it, but it's not. There's no pressing matters besides just us hanging out.
Right.
Which
exactly.
is really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
We can consume alcohol.
Exactly.
Because we both make decent drinks.
They're okay.
They're okay. So where do you work at?
I work at Brazen Open Kitchen in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yeah. So we mentioned that on the podcast a couple times. You've been a guest on one of our Alchemix videos.
Yeah.
Which that video was... It was ready to drink cocktails by Drinksmith.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Those were pretty damn fucking good.
We had a lot of those cocktails.
There were so many.
Yeah, there was a lot of cocktails, and we did them all, and it was cool because it was the first time I've ever had an RTD.
Yeah.
You know, you see them out in the wild, and it's just like, as a bartender, I'm kind of like,
Right.
I can do that better. But I mean, it was fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
They come out with some new flavors since you've been on there, and they're pretty good, like seasonal ones and stuff like that.
That's
so
cool. Yeah.
we went to a friend's graduation party. She graduated from Iowa.
She got her doctorate.
Yep.
That's an important.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I was
very
gonna say, yeah. And she asked me, she's like, what's a good like ready to drink cocktail? And I told her that one, and she had almost a whole refrigerator full
Really?
of them.
Nice.
Yeah. And we were just drinking those all day long.
Right. That's why the doctorate detail was important.
They be drinking.
Because who graduates with their BA or their BS and then has a fridge full of ready to drink cocktails that cost $10 a piece.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what we like to do on this little podcast is read stories off the internet about hospitality stories, talk about it, should have been handled differently, was it handled correctly? Then we say if there was an asshole or a hero, and then we rate that story 1 through 5, 1 being your average story that you see all the time, or 5 being a unique situation. And then since we have a guest, he's going to tell us a story that he was either A, involved in, or seen with his own eyes, which we don't even know what he's going to tell us. But I'm going to assume it's something that you were working at. But we won't get there yet. And then since we are adults who like to drink, we are drinking a Hoven Court Daiquiri by Phil Ward. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. Holy shit.
Oh, that is amazing.
You don't like it?
Really? Wow.
I like mezcal, but I think that the grassy, like, dirt notes in the mezcal are brought forward a little bit too much for my taste. It's very good, but I just not for me.
Maybe if we use the Chichicapa one.
No, that one is more grassy than the Vita by itself.
So we use Vita.
Yeah, we use Vita.
The Vita for this one.
And and the original recipe calls for Vita.
Okay. He was really into Del Maguey because I think he would make a lot of drinks that would be accessible for people.
Sure.
It's Del Maguey. So what this drink is 2 ounces of Haitian rum, and you brought over, what did you bring over?
The Clarin of Aval. It's a Haitian rum. Hot still. It's a crazy funky rum.
Yeah.
It's sweet, but it's very smooth. It's got this weird rotten banana kind of smell taste to it. It's very funky.
Maybe similar to like Dr. Bird or Smith and Cross or something along those worlds, but it's
the same funk level, but the flavor is entirely different.
Yeah,
completely different.
Let's take a picture of it so we can put it on Instagram and show people.
Oh.
Burn. Yeah, it's good. It's great. I made this cocktail a couple months ago, and you commented on the.
I was like, dude,
you don't have Haitian rum?
Yeah, I'm like, I've got some. I'll bring some down. And here we are, finally drinking this cocktail.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take yours, I guess. Okay.
I think if it had just a couple dashes of orange bitters, I would like it more.
She's hooked on the whole bitter game now.
That's cool. Bitters are fun.
Yeah.
Bitters are. I'm actually making some right now. I'm making some. Some spicy like jalapeno habanero bitters.
Nice.
Yeah, for the spicy margaritas that everybody wants.
Right.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I know. It's people like, you can't do a spicy margarita. I'm like, I don't have fucking fresh jalapenos with me all the time.
Exactly.
Like, it's fine.
Especially
like when John like he's at a full blown restaurant. So they have.
But it's scratched though. So if we don't have it, like now we don't have any peppers at all in the house. So I went and bought them at Hy-Vee and I'm making it from scratch at home.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Be interested. Let me know when that will come out for taste that.
Yeah.
But I will use the Ancho Reyes Verde, which I know that isn't like spicy, but it still gives the element of pepper.
It's got a great pepper taste. Like it's very, very good. Yeah.
And if you add some tahini, it's all good.
Yeah.
Tahini. Also something that's needed for a spicy margarita. You don't have tahini for this? Like, come on, lady.
Right.
I got the spice.
I got half of what you want.
Right.
Be happy.
This is Iowa. We don't like.
Oh man,
that was a seasonal item.
Yeah,
4 seasons ago.
Correct. It is January and it's negative 20 degrees out.
Right. No, I don't have jalapeno peppers.
No.
Or margaritas. Those are summer drinks.
Exactly.
Right.
Drink my winter ones.
Right. I made these. These are just as good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Speaking of your winter drinks, Blame the Fae is great.
Did you got the recipe and you did it? Yeah.
Cool. I haven't made it yet, but
awesome.
It's for next weekend.
Thank you.
But thank you for the recipe.
Yeah. That was the Ireland trip and the whole distillery and the learning about Irish whiskey and how the whole mythos of fairies came from them first making whiskey hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And they didn't take there's the head, the heart, and the tail when you make a spirit, and the head and the tail is the bad stuff, right? The stuff that makes you maybe hallucinate and see like little fairies maybe. Yep. And that's where the whole thing came from. They were drinking really bad whiskey. I mean, probably could have been good. They just didn't produce it correctly. Incorrectly made whiskey, and it caused them to hallucinate. And that's where fairies came from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So we bought a bottle of the St. George's.
Yep. Spice pear.
When we were up in Total Wine last weekend. So we bought a big bottle.
Jameson.
And then I made the ginger syrup the other day for her. And
a little lemon juice.
It's
really easy.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like change your amount of whiskey to spice pear to make it, like it's what we have at the shop at Brazen is pretty like accessible. Like, like most people are like, I don't even taste the Jameson. It's like, yeah, I know.
That's the point.
It is the point. But if you wanted to taste the Jameson Irish whiskey in pears, like it was a thing that there was a lot of pear trees in Ireland. And that was a thing that they would use a lot of. So it was Rowan Co. is the distillery that I was at, if anybody wanted to know about that. But they have the bottom of their bottles has a pear like engraved into the bottom.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's a newer distillery. Just opened, I think in 2019. But the amount of distilleries that have opened up over there in the last 5 to 10 years is insane.
Right.
They got hit really hard with prohibition. And they still were climbing back from it. If you can imagine like 100 years, like it's kind of crazy, but it's rolling pretty hard over there. But
they had weird import and export tax laws.
They got screwed over.
Yeah.
These people that invented whiskey. Like, come on.
Yeah, because I think the British government, when they took over
the northern part,
put in some weird import and export laws, and
don't know all about that, but I mean it's back and booming over there, and it was really cool to
definitely watching. Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah,
I was watching like a lot of shorts or Instagram reels. People are like, "Don't drink this Irish whiskey. Drink this, this, and this." It's like, fuck you guys. I can't get that in Iowa or like even remotely around me. Like, I mean, that's cool. You're suggesting other things, and it's like I get it, but it's also like we got to do what we can.
We do what you do.
But I'm about to go on a book weekend, or the book that's getting released this week is all about the Fae.
Oh, cool.
And so my friend and I are doing a girls trip. We're taking the books. We're going to make cocktails and we have themed stuff. So it's perfect.
Cool. That's awesome. I love that.
And I'm not allowed to message her for 48 hours.
No,
it's fine.
No, I will not be.
You can. She's just not going to pay attention to it.
My phone will be in the car.
Turned off in the car.
It will not be a distraction.
The glove
box. All right. So for our first story, it's off the Bartender subreddit. And the title was submitted 17 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
This is the newest story.
This just came out. Okay.
Yeah. He's still probably hungover. From Daniel Hunter 742. The title is Not a Bartender, but I'm a regular at a local bar in a tourist town. We're kind of a tourist town.
Yeah, I know. We're definitely a tourist town.
Yeah, for sure. All right. My wife and I enjoy happy hour almost daily. We have become regulars. The bartender has started giving us deep discounts on our tab, and I'm worried for his job. We always tip large, and maybe that is how this got started. But we just pay whatever he says we owe, but we know it is much less than we consume. For example, tonight we bought 5 draft beers and a cocktail, bourbon and ginger. And I say, what do we owe you? And he says $10. We know it's obviously not right and leave 30 and say goodnight. We don't want to get the bartender in trouble, and we can't afford whatever the bill is. Or we can afford whatever the bill is, but we always pay what he tells us. I think because it is a tourist town, we are locals and have tipped him well in the past. He just charges for whatever he feels like. Not really looking for advice, but just curious if other bartenders do the same.
That's it. Okay.
I feel I don't go that crazy on regulars at the bars I've ever worked at. Like maybe once in a while I'll give them a free drink or just tell them like this round's on me.
Right. Yeah.
But I worked at a hotel bar and they were, watching cameras and doing this and doing that.
Yep.
So it's a little bit more, the leniency was not there. So once in a while, maybe give them a discount, but not regularly. I don't know.
Yeah. I've worked at bars where I've seen bartenders give away the bar.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I don't work at those bars anymore.
Right.
And I've always been really good at charging people for their drinks.
Yep.
Even if they are good customers, like, thank you for being a good customer. I don't have to give you like a crazy discount like that. It's like,
you're a customer. This is a transaction.
And a regular is going to bring in money to the place, so that you don't just give them a bunch of free stuff. They're the ones that are supporting you constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no need to do that. So yeah, I mean, I'd say the bartender's definitely in the wrong right now. Like that's my first thing is like, that's not cool. Like, especially if these people are like, hey, like we can pay for these items. Like we're happy to pay for these items. It sounds like this kid's just pocketing. He's like, oh, I can get a lot of money from these people. I'm going to get a big tip.
He's thinking short-sighted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If it's his bar, if he owned the bar and that's what he wants to do,
that's fine.
Sure, it's your bar, it's your money.
Your prerogative.
But he's just he's just a bartender that's probably not even a manager. That's,
Yeah, I feel like at that point, like there is a fine line. You can give your regulars free drinks. You should pay for those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're tipping you, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like you should pay for those drinks. But like, I mean, I've been a regular at a bar that used to give me free beer all the time, and that to me is a little bit.
The bar we met at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beer. Let's go. Let's talk about like beer versus
and that's
spirits.
That's what I was about to say. Is like the beer, like profit margins are extremely high, and beer is cheap.
It's super cheap. Super cheap.
So that feels a little different than maybe like cocktails and spirits. But I still think you create an expectation, and when those people come in and they get charged full price, they're going to
get mad.
They're not going to be regulars anymore.
Fair enough.
So at what point are you? The bartender's in the wrong. The bartender needs to charge people for their drinks.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty easy, especially if like they're like, hey, we're good for this.
Right.
We want to do this, and it's like, and there's such nice people. They're like, we're scared that he's going to lose their, we're scared that this bartender's going to lose their job because they are giving us drinks. I mean, if you were that person sitting at the bar, like, and I've done this before, like, dude, you can charge me for these. Like, I'm cool paying for these drinks.
I ordered them.
Totally
I am here
fine.
to pay for
I know
them.
what this is.
Yep.
I know the industry. Like, this is cool. Guess what? You're still going to get a good tip.
Right.
Like it's just somebody. I think it's just it's a bartender getting a little greedy, getting a little grabby.
Yeah. Or just doesn't fully understand how this all works because he's afraid. I've given them this discount. This is what they tip me. I need to do the same or they'll never tip me like this ever again type thing. Like I've already went down this path. I'm too far past the point of no return.
Right.
But it's also like as a customer, he's lucky that he has these nice customers about it, right? Because there could be a time where he does this for a couple of people. Then that person comes in next time when Sarah's working. Oh, George only charged us $10. Like they call him out to the other bartender. There's a lot of possibilities.
Fighting the hand that feeds in that spot too. It's like, do you call them out? Do you call them out?
No.
Or let's say that one of the owner's friends comes in and he does it and he doesn't know who they are.
Right.
And all of a sudden he's like, hey, that kid's just gave everything out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the exact opposite of like entitled customers, and it's so sweet.
Right.
This is like a nice, refreshing story because like you don't get people being like, no, I'm really worried that he's not charging me what he's supposed to be. Versus, I can't believe you charged me $8 for a ramen diet.
Yeah, or like this wine, 5 ounce pour. That's not industry standard. Like nobody. It's industry standard, 100%. Like we've got guests that are like, this is too short of a pour. I'm like, it's definitely not, man. This is how it is everywhere. I'm from Chicago. Cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
My personal favorite is I know the owner.
Okay.
And I'm like, do you?
Cool. So do I.
So do I.
I'm working for him.
I got speed dial number 3 right now. If that's what you want to go to.
One of the wittiest comebacks I ever caught to that. I was like, oh, well, the owner hired me to give you this much
at this price.
At this price. Yeah. So you can talk to them about it, but I'm still going to do what the owner told me to do. Yeah. So, and if you know him, you can bring that up with him.
Yeah. Here's my name. Here's my badge.
Right.
Let's go.
Here's my badge number.
Exactly. Let's go. Oh man. No, I think it is a good story of,
it's so sweet
of people, bar people, right?
Yeah.
They said right away, like, we're bar people. Like they do know how this works.
Right.
And it's like, if I were them, I would go to that bartender and be like, dude, we really like what you're doing. Like, we appreciate this, but we're good for it.
Yeah, please.
We want this place to stay open. We want you to have a job.
Keep
just
charge us for the drinks.
Yeah.
If you feel the need, you can float us one drink every so often.
Or if you're these people, like, don't go when this kid's working.
Right.
Go a different time.
Yeah, that's true too.
You could just go, when that person's not working, and if you feel the need that you're shorting the establishment, go some other time.
Because that's 5 drinks and a bourbon and ginger should have been like $40 minimum, depending on where they're at, right?
Is there a double bubble that we're not aware of here? There's other things that it's just
do they wear that they're like in a double bubble? They have no idea.
They have balls, or it's like a dollar scoop. Like, wait a second, they're dollar scoops. So yeah. I mean, there's things that are lacking in that story that could change. Right.
And that's what makes these stories fun, because there's only 20%, 30% of the true story in here. There's a lot of details that are missing.
All stories have 3 sides: your side's my side, and the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, then I wonder, like, do they overcharge? Not like intentionally, but are there prices to compensate the tourists and overcharge them because they're tourists? Like Galena, their prices are over.
I've heard of a couple places, and I shouldn't say a couple places. I've heard of one place in Galena, and you can read the reviews. Yeah, you find the place, and they talk about, we were told by the bartender that we need to charge the locals different than the people that are coming. God. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously, like, it's on a review, plain sight on Google.
See, you can't do that shit anymore because we have the internet. Like 40 years ago, when
there's whistleblowers everywhere. Right. Anyone can just say anything and put it out there, and it's like, oh well, there it is.
Yeah, where's it?
What's that?
Where's that?
I don't know. I don't want to say on a podcast.
Yeah, you're right. Tell it when
we will talk about
just sign it
in between. I don't like to throw people under the bus like that, but it's that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Bad practices.
It's fucking weird.
That is bad practice. Mm-hmm. I mean, you should treat your customers the same across the board, and if your customers respond differently, then we can assess from there.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah, and then sometimes. Yeah.
I was told when I worked at Winifred's, our boss is like, hey, if regulars come in all the time, it's okay to float them like a house cab, here and there.
Sure.
And then working at the brewery, that beer costs us fucking 40 cents over 16-ounce pour. So
you can have like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Go to town, buddy.
Right.
It's easy to, like, one of the early episodes to comp stuff. We were like, it's easier to comp drinks than it is to comp food because the margins are higher across the board.
Sure. Yeah.
But then to comp beer at a brewery that you work at over anything else, it's pennies.
Yeah, right. It's nothing.
Because you dump more than you give away.
Correct. And you're making it like it's awesome.
Or the bartenders are drinking more than you're giving away too.
You'd have to be pretty drunk all the time to do that, like to drink that much beer during your shift.
There was a couple back in the day.
There always are. They're still probably doing it today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about this, back to that story real quick too. I have a guest that comes in every week.
Yep.
Regular. This is a regular, and and he's awesome. He knows what he's doing. He travels all the time. He doesn't travel all the time, but like, he's retired.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He travels to eat and drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this dude knows what he's doing. He shows up. He's having his gin martini, some bitters in it, lemon zest. He's going to sip on that while he looks at the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, he's going to be like, I think I'll have, I'm going to do a salad today, and I'll take this white wine with it, and he's just very calculated and meticulous, and he's awesome. And he's the type of guest that if I give him the bill and let's say we forget to ring in a drink, which happens when it gets busy, or, you know, he will scan that thing and he'll be like, you're missing this. And he'll give me back the bill and he will not let me give him a bill that's incomplete.
Right.
As he would say, he's like, John, this bill's incomplete. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, we missed this.
Right.
That's the kind of guest that, you know, like, geez, that's cool.
That's happened to us a couple of times. The most recent is when we ate at that Italian restaurant before, Grandson in Chicago.
Yeah.
I think they missed the entire bottle of wine that we ordered.
And see, like,
and it was like $100 or something. It's like, you know, if it was a glass of wine, I'd still say something, but I wouldn't feel bad if I didn't say anything. But like a bottle of wine at $100, like that server's going to have to either pay for it or get written up or fired.
Yep. You have a responsibility to say like, hey, wait a second.
As a customer, you have a responsibility to pay for the items you consumed or purchased.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or you like sitting down at a restaurant is a social contract.
Yeah.
I order something. Therefore, I have signed the social contract that I will pay for these items.
Yeah, you're bringing me these things to consume.
Yes.
I'm going to pay for them.
Yes, that is the expectation. That is the way it is set up. And if something gets missed here and there, that's one thing. But like I don't know.
It's the same like when someone gives you wrong.
No, I 100% agree.
It's when they give you wrong change, right? Like you gave them a 10, but they give you change for a 20. Like, no, it's like, I don't need this. Cause it's also like you're trying to get away with shit for what, $10, $50. Like it's not like
I did the coffee shop the other day. I gave them a 10 for our 2 drinks and she thought I gave her a 20. She gave me a 10 back. And I was like, no.
right.
This is yours.
This is exactly it.
This goes in the register.
If you give me this 10 back, this is karma and I can't, none of this, dude.
I can't balance the cosmic scales like that.
All right. So on a rating, what do we want to rate this? Or again, the rating is for how you perceive the story, not what you think everyone should perceive the story. So it's through your eyes. Okay. 1 through 5. Again, 1 being your average, I hear this every day, or 5 being super unique and crazy. And you can go to the 100. So if you want to do like 3.77 or whatever, there's an inside joke for another podcast.
Okay, so I would say that having worked in the industry as long as I have, and worked with many bartenders and seen many things, that this is probably like the 2.8543 to 1. It's pretty average, I think, especially if you have somebody that's in the that's new to the industry, that knows how to swindle a little bit. You know, like I know that if I get this guy, you know, it's just it's new stuff. Right. They don't understand what they're doing to the job.
They don't have the consequences.
Business. Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So I'd say this is pretty.
Right. This is a young bartender mentality.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, cool. Here you go. Because they're thinking hot chick or hot guy. Here's your free drink. Because wow, you know,
maybe
like
she'll sleep with me later tonight.
Yeah, it's just stupid shit like that. Gross. Yeah, it's just dumb shit like that.
But yeah, I'm gonna go 3.2. And mind you, 1 is just like shit you see every day. 5 is the craziest thing you've ever seen. And like, I'm thinking that this is a 2.5. However, I'm going to give it an extra 0.6 because this is the sweetest story. Like because the customers actually cared enough to ask Reddit what they should do. What are we gonna do? That is so sweet.
Good on them. Yes.
I agree. I was going to go 3. So that's what I'm just going to stick with for that same reason, because usually it's like the like the customer's like, how can I get away with this? And they don't want to get away with it. So
no one's going to, it's like kiss and tell. Like, we're not talking about this at all. Right. No need to. Right. I'm getting my free drinks. You know?
We go here every day because we don't have to spend $60 a week.
Right.
And we drink $300 worth of alcohol.
Steve, why are your 2 guests stumbling out of the bar with a $10 bill? Like, I have no idea.
They came in drunk.
Yeah, they probably got a flask on them or something.
Right. I think I watched them eat some sort of pill at the bar. I don't fucking know. But
God.
Don't even, that.
This is so good.
So good.
Do we need to pause and make another drink?
I mean, we can.
We can always do that.
Yes. All right. So if you have a similar story about bill paying or walking out on a bill or educating people about bills, let us know. We have a subreddit. Do you want to start a tab? It is in the link of any description, or it's in the link of the description of any podcast player you're listening to this, or on YouTube.
You can find the link in the description.
That's what I said.
Do it again.
Yeah. Oh no, I just leave it like that.
Oh, perfect.
You
can eventually stumble upon it.
Yeah, right.
You'll figure it out.
Just look
go to
around.
the description.
And you all know what a link looks like.
I only read the intro verbatim. Everything else is just
flying by the seat of our pants.
That's how it should be.
Yes. And if you would like to tell us your story, we have a phone number 563-277-0072. Leave us up to a 3-minute voicemail. And yeah, we are going to pause for a union cocktail break.
Yeah.
All right, so we pause this, and with the magic of editing, we already have new cocktails. We have an espresso rum martini. So
Cheers.
I just kind of fucked around to find out.
Yes, delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plantation rum, Demerara.
No, it's Plantaray rum.
Plantaray rum.
Oh, because they changed the name?
Yes.
But can we say we're drinking plantation
We are
rum?
drinking plantation rum.
We're drinking the old school stuff, right?
Right. That stuff from back in the day.
Oh,
Rum from back in the day. And then we're using the Mr. Black that was aged in rum barrels.
Rested.
In rum barrels. Demerara
It depends on how long.
Right.
Whatever.
Whatever. So it's not too bad. I just kind of
really
poured
good.
things in just equal parts and called it a day.
It's nice.
Yeah. It'll be a nice pick-me-up.
Right. Because it's 2:00 on a Sunday.
I mean, we were all. I was working at least last night.
I was creating content at the brew festival that I was at.
I worked
sitting
until
around
9 a.m. today. So
Oh,
I was at
shit.
work.
You can have mine.
All right, John. So you got a story that you want to share. I think you're going to be the first bartender guest that brought props.
I have a prop. I mean, So my story. My story is, what was it? The third spot that I worked. I worked at a place called the Busted Lift here in town.
Yep.
Irish pub. This was probably back in 2006. I don't remember the year, but I was working this bar.
Mm-hmm.
I had just got I got pulled in. I was a regular.
Okay.
I got free drinks, you know. But I always paid for my drinks. The bartender does what they will with the tips, and
Right.
And I got pulled in, and they're like, "You're the bartender. You're doing our stuff." And I took everyone's shifts. It was great. They hated me, but I was working a day shift, and this is kind of an elaborate story. I was working a day shift, and that's cleaning the bar up, making everything, bathrooms, blah blah blah, doing shit like that. And this guy shows up. And he's kind of haggard looking, long, curly, greasy hair. He's got some camo shorts on and a sleeveless shirt. And he's like, "Hey, can I help you with anything?" Like, I'm Greg. I'm here to help. I'm here to help out. I was like, "Okay, dude. Like, okay, you're just a local weirdo. This is cool. I've never met you before." And so he's hanging out, and he hangs out for a while. And then I mean like weeks. He's hanging out there, and he's just helping. He shows up during night shifts, and he's grabbing empty bottles from our back patio and glassware and bringing them to the bar. Like, "Here you go, John. I thought you could use these." And I was like, "Thanks, man." And he never drinks anything. But I shoot him a beer once in a while. I buy him a beer. Like, "Thanks, Greg. Here's a Budweiser." He goes, "Oh, thanks, dude. Let me know if you need anything else." And he always asks if John's around. And John's the owner. John was the owner of the bar at the time. So I finally asked John, I'm like, "What's going on with, who's this Greg dude?" He's like, "Wait, Greg's back." Because John would only John would show up during the day, but he never saw Greg. And like, he's like, is it, it's not Postal Greg, is it? I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he kind of described him a little bit. I'm like, "That might be him." And he's like, "Yeah, Greg was a postal worker, and that he would come down to the bar all the time after he got off his shift and have some drinks." And he came in one day and is just really down and out. And we're like, "What's going on, Greg?" And he's like, "Well, I found out my wife's cheating on me."
Ooh.
He's like, "Oh, that sucks. That sucks, man." He's like, "Yeah." And so after that, Greg went postal. He quit his job and he just went off the deep end, right? So he's Greg's postal Greg.
Okay.
There's the postal Greg.
Right.
Poor guy. He's such a nice dude, right? Mm-hmm. So there's months that are going by that Greg's showing up here and there, helping out and stuff like that. And one of the bartenders, Beaner, she's like, "Have you talked to Greg yet?" I was like, "Yeah, I know Greg for sure." And she's like, "You guys need to talk comic books." I'm like, "Comic books? What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, he's a huge comic book dork." And I was like, "No shit." And she knew, like, I like comic books.
Sure.
When I was a kid, I got a pretty extensive collection of comics. And I was like, "No, really? Like, okay, well, this is cool and interesting." And so Greg shows up the next day. And I'm like, "Greg, I heard I'm supposed to talk to you about comic books. He's like, oh, yeah. And he shows me his tattoo, which I've never noticed on his left bicep. And it's a shitty, just a shitty prison tattoo of Thor. I'm like, oh, cool. Thor, you like DC Comics? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm a big Batman fan. He's like, oh, that's great. He's like, I got a bunch of comic books. He's like, I got all these comic books from when I was a kid. And I was like, no shit, dude. Like, I'd really love to see those sometime. He's like, oh, I'll have to bring him in sometime. Okay, sounds good. Leaves. I don't see him for a couple weeks. And then I'm opening the bar one day and he shows back up with this shitty briefcase that, was probably from Goodwill or something like that. And he sits at my bar and he's like, are you ready to see the comic books? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to see these comic books. And I'm thinking they're just like, whatever comic books. Yeah. He pops this fucking briefcase open and he's got like the first appearance of Thor, Journey into Mystery number 83. Now this comic book sells mint condition for like 10 grand. He's got it in this briefcase. I was like, and it's just loose. Like, and he's got a stack of all these comics. I was like, Greg, do you understand what you have here? Like, he's like, yeah, these are my favorite comic books. I'm like, and I was like, I part of me wanted to say like, these are worth like thousands of dollars. Right. But I didn't want him to know that they were $1,000 because I didn't want him to just like, no, I don't know, sell them and then just use them to buy booze. Right. Right. That kind of dude. So I'm like, Greg, can I do you a favor, man? I'm like, we're friends. You come in here, you help out. Can I take these comic books? Can I board and bag them? So that's where you take the comic and you put them in, the board, the bag, you seal them up so they stay nice. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. And I take him back to my apartment. And one of my roommates at the time, he was a huge comic nerd too. And he's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing with these? This bar regular just had these in a briefcase. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, it's like, oh man. So we board and bagged them all up and I had him nice and centered and put him back down at the bar. And Greg would come in and out of the place, back and forth. And he finally came back in and he's like, I'm like, Greg, hey dude, like I got your comics, man. They're secure, man. I'm like, you need to put these somewhere safe. Like these are worth a lot of money. And I didn't know if it was a lot of money, and a lot of money is probably like $100 to him. And he's like, oh, thanks, dude. I could, thanks for taking care of him, blah, blah, blah. And so he leaves again, like he's vagrant, like in and out. Yeah, he comes and comes and goes, and he comes back a couple weeks later, whenever it was, and he's helping out again. And this is where I started to realize how much Greg is Greg, and he's like he's helping. It's a busy night. He's bringing back bottles, and I like I said, I never see this guy drink ever. Until he would drink if you gave it to him, but he would not just open a tab.
Is he drinking the empties?
He's drinking the empties from the back patio.
Oh, no.
And one of the people are like, hey, just so you know, that guy's like drinking leftover drinks. Like no matter what, he's drinking them and bringing them back to you. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, Greg, dude, like you can't do that. And he kind of gets upset with me. He's like, well, whatever, man. Like I'm here to help. We kind of have a little blowout. Yeah. I'm like, oh, dude, like it's not like that, but you really shouldn't be doing that because it's disgusting.
Right.
Dude. And you don't know what's in that glass.
Exactly. This is postal Greg. Right. It's postal Greg. And so he grabs his suitcase, or he had a suitcase already. He leaves and he comes back a couple of weeks later again. It's always back and forth. And I was like, how's it going, man? He's like, well, I kind of run into some bad times. He's like, I had to pawn all my comic books off.
Oh no.
And I was like, dude, you didn't pawn your comic books. I'm like, what pawn? Like, where did you take them? He's like, oh, it's the 17th and Central. I'm like, we got to go get those. I'm like, how much did they give you? He's like, how about $200?
Oh my God.
It's like, dude, are you serious right now? He's like, yeah, $200. I'm like, we need to get those back.
Right.
Like as soon as possible.
Right.
It's like, it'll be fine. I'll take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So he leaves again and I don't see him for a while. And I told John about this. I was like, hey man, like this guy pawned off some comic books that are worth like a shit ton of money. And I don't know if he's ever going to see them again. Because if these people who are pawn shop people know what they are, they're gonna be like, yep, see you, bud. Yep. We're selling these.
Yeah.
I don't hear from him ever again. Right. So he's just gone. He's like into the abyss, like gone. And I went to go to work and one of the bartenders at opening, he took my shift because at that point I got promoted and I'm the night bartender. Right? Sure. It's like, hey man, and this is months ago. I've forgotten about Greg completely. He's like, hey dude, somebody dropped something off for you at the bar and they really wanted you to have it, made sure that you got it. And I was like, cool, dude, cool. And it's like, it's behind the register. And I honestly, like, I forgot about it for a couple of days, and like, dude, you forget to. Eventually, Dave's like, "Hey, man, there's this thing behind the register. Like, you should probably grab it." And I was
Right.
like, okay, cool. And I go behind the register, and this is sitting behind the register with a guest check from the Busted Lift with a crudely written note that says, "John, I'm going to give you Iron Man #1. I'm at the Mainstay on Airport," and it's just, you guys can see, like, it's just like scribble, like goofy, just, and then he's got it signed at the back, Greg.
Wow.
And this guy gave me Iron Man #1. Like, I mean, it's not in mint condition by any means, but this, I bagged and put a cardboard, like, I did this for him. But yeah, Iron Man #1. Mint, like, here, oh, not mint, I'm sorry.
Right.
But he gave me a really expensive fucking comic book. Like, here you go, dude. And I've never heard from him again. Like, he was just gone. So yeah, it was, I mean,
that's awesome.
There's a lot of, like, there's a lot of things that have happened, meeting guests and, like, dealing with people like that. But, like, I never expected something like that as a comic book, person to, like, just show up. Like, this is an expensive comic book, and it's something that he just gave away.
So do you think he went back to the pawn shop?
He had to have gotten it back,
and then realized this is one of them, right? And then realized, oh, John, you made me.
You did.
I hope to God that he's like, okay, these comics are worth a lot of money, and, like, this is yours, and I'm going to go sell that Journey into Mystery 83 for thousands of dollars,
right?
And go live a good life.
I don't know. Stuff back together.
I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, that's all I know. But, like, never saw the dude again. And this is all I have. I got a comic book and a note from a long time ago.
It's awesome.
It's a cool story. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a very cool story.
I don't have very many of those things. Like, there's a lot of stories that I have. Jumping over the bar to stop fights and just weird, power going out during a show at the same bar at the Lift where the power went out and we had this blues player play. And we adorned the place with a bunch of candles, and we took all the candles from the bar and put it on the stage, and he played his set, like that kind of stuff. But like, which is cool,
right? But this is like a personal.
This is a very personal. Like, this is. I mean, I still have this thing. This is. I didn't sell it. I'm never going to sell it.
Right. There's so much
sentimental value.
It's sentimental. It's part of, like, where I came from. That bar really, like, pushed me to where, like, I stayed in the industry. Like, I was at the Lift for a while, and it's just it's a piece of history from my past that I'm always going to have, and have a really cool story to tell about it.
Right.
And it's all about, as a bartender, like, I never sold this guy anything. Right.
Right.
But I had a relationship with him enough that he, like, gave me something that was meaningful. It was I don't know.
Right.
That means a lot more than, like, any tip, I guess, to have a connection like that, and to have somebody, like, gift something, like, cool like that.
There's one of our friends' podcast called The Bartender's Rant. Basically, they have this. It's called The Gauntlet. They have 10 questions. It's the same 10 questions for every person that comes on. And one of the questions is, what is the best tip that you ever got? It doesn't have to be monetary. Yeah. And like, I've told people, it's fucking food for me. You bring me 2 Paul's burgers at 10 o'clock at night.
Dude,
that's way better than fucking $20 tip.
$20, whatever.
And as someone else has said, like, nothing specifically like this, but, like, something that has more personal meaning than what money can ever do.
There's this past year, actually, like, going back to, like, gifts and stuff like that. I've gotten a painting. Actually, from a guest, and where I work at Brazen, it's a nice restaurant. Like, there's the wealthy people go there, and every year in our city we have an art. I forget what it's called. Bluff Strokes is what it's called. So they bring in hundreds of artists from all over. And one of the women that started this group was from Chicago, and she became friends with one of our regulars. And all these hundreds of artists come into Dubuque during the fall, and they each take a spot and they paint Dubuque scenery. Whether it's in downtown, you always see you see these people just standing in random spots with their easel and their paints and their painting, right? And this year, the woman that I was speaking of, the artist that started the whole thing, she came into Brazen. And she's like, I'm going to paint you behind the bar. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Thanks. You know, like,
do I have to stand still?
Exactly. I'm like prepping for shit. I'm like, you know, juicing and swearing and like, she's like, can you just pose real quick? And you know, as I was tapping, as I was pulling a tap handle, like just to pour a beer, and she took a couple photos and blah, blah, blah. Either way this goes, like I've been immortalized now. Like this person gifted me the painting. So it goes down to what's the church down here that does Steeple Square. So they take all of these artists and they put all the paintings in Steeple Square with you know, when you can purchase these things. And it was funny because somebody's like, oh, I saw a painting of you down at Steeple Square. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool, man. Like I remember the lady came in and painted it, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, these are expensive. It'd be cool to own that. And I think my girlfriend had gone down and she's like, yeah, I don't see it anywhere. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Bummer.
And then this woman came in with her husband.
A different woman.
The one that gifted me the painting. She bought the painting.
Yeah.
Not the artist.
Not the artist.
Right,
but she's like, she brought in, she's like, Merry Christmas, John.
Wow.
Like, dude, come on. Are you serious?
That's awesome.
So I have this like awesome painting of me like at the bar that I've been at for, it'll be 10 years next year. And it's great because all these bottles like you have here in your basement, all the bottles are behind me, and it just looks so cool. I'll send you a photo of it, or just you can just come over and see it, right?
No,
but it's so cool. Like, yeah, gifts like that. That's those things mean so much more,
because that means like it's more than just. That means you connected to that guest in some other way that they're like, I appreciate this person more than I can, you know, like say for any reason at all. Like, I know there's servers that get some of that, you know, those type of things that aren't just monetary. And it's just like the service industry can provide such a amazing experience for the guest and the person serving them. You know, that
it's definitely there.
It's because you never know what the person you're serving's journey is. Like you don't know where they're at.
Correct.
And you can provide good service one day and that could be the best thing that's happened to them in like 3 months. Or you don't know what happened to them that day. Maybe they found out their person was cheating on them. Or whatever it is.
They lost their job or whatever it is, you know, like
somebody important to them died. And you if you can just provide a ray of sunshine for that hour.
Sure. Or a distraction from whatever they might be going through. If it's, you know, whatever it is, it's, you know, a lot of people go out for service just to get away. Like it's a means to just, kind of forget about it all.
And a lot of times when you're in the trenches, when you're in the weeds, it's really hard to remember that.
Oh, dude. Geez. Yeah. I mean, as someone that's been working as long as I have, and I'll say this as somebody that's in the industry it's hard. It's very hard to be that persona. It's very hard. I mean, I'll admit 100% that I've been a complete shithead to a lot of guests, that it's just like, it's nothing personal, man. It's just like, it's just, you're going and it's hard and it's a struggle. I mean, you know, people that are servers or industry people they're people too, you know, you don't know what they're going through too. So it's kind of, it's a difficult thing to do. But yeah, it goes both ways.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yep. I mean, it's a crazy fucking world. And I tell people, look, we should have you either go in the military for 2 years or you go work in the service industry for 2 years, because they're both life-changing things that will show you different perspectives of life.
How people are. Yeah, right? Like how the general public, you're serving someone. Like if someone's serving you, like I was brought up that if someone's like serving you, like thank you,
right? If somebody, it doesn't even go that far. If somebody hands you something, you say thank you.
Right. Yeah, it's just pleasantries and being like a human,
polite.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's that easy.
It's kind of funny to watch or hear my daughter. So she serves bartender at Seven Hills.
Oh, cool.
And like, you know, we've been in there when she's in there, and it's amazing to listen to her. She's 20, you know, so like her experience is not that much, not like us.
Sure.
And just to hear her talk with people, I'm like, well, it's because she's been around me, you know, her whole life and seen me in bars and understand like.
But also I do think that like it's innate in her, like she has that, the same personality that you have.
Yeah, you'll get that. Yeah.
Right. But it's also like for being that young and for being that, you know, like most 20-year-olds don't give a fuck. You know,
they don't give a fuck, or they don't like, you know, it's all about, it's public speaking too. Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't know public speaking very well. They're terrified of it.
And at a young age, I would make my kids like my son wanted to go. I wanted to go get $50 at the bank. He's 8 years old. All right, you go talk to the teller. I make you go do this.
Right.
You want something from this cash register person? You go ask them
You
for
can
it.
order your meal from the server.
You talk. You tell them what you want.
You can say please and thank you.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
You know, because I mean, it's different. Like they don't. You can't teach that in fucking school. You can't teach. Like you can teach speech, but that's different than normal interaction, social
There's not
interactions.
a polite 101.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all.
Actually, I did have to take etiquette in 4th grade.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's Tama.
We had to
nurture, not
walk
nature.
Yeah, we had to walk 3 blocks to this lady's house, and she taught us which forks to eat with. And I don't remember fuck all. But, but I remember
I'll use my hands.
But, I do very specifically remember that when you eat soup with a spoon, you gotta tilt the bowl away from you and scoop away from you. I do remember that very vividly.
Really?
Yeah, and then.
I'll do that tonight when I have my soup.
And you're like, holy shit, this is amazing.
great.
This is life changing.
And generally, you work from the outside in.
Yeah.
But other than that,
That's the only thing I remember. It's like outside in.
Yeah.
I remember when you place the knife, the blade has to go towards the dish, not away. When you set,
Sure.
When you set, because I work at Winifred's, I learned all that, and then when people do it wrong, at other places, I turn like, "What are you doing?" I go, "This is how it's supposed to be," and this is just let me do this because this is just my inner self just doing it right, you know. So what do we want? Okay, so back to the comic book store. What do we want to rate this? I mean, at the end of the day, this has got to be a 5.
No.
Why does everyone?
Nobody likes it when you say 5.
Our other guest who was a 5, he was like, I do not want to be the 5. I would give me. I don't want to be.
I mean, I guess.
Well,
it is pretty cool.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So monetarily, how much is this worth?
I mean, this is
Actually, if you wanted to take a comic book grading of a comic book,
I don't know. I would say if this got graded, I took it to a local comic book shop and asked one of the guys like what they thought, and you have to like comic books you get sent out, and they get graded and put in this like thick plastic thing so you can never touch it again. I don't want anything to do with that. I want to be able to like read this, right? Like he said it was probably a 5 or a 6. So out of 10.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's old, dude. Like it's old, and
it was 12 cents.
It was 12 cents. It was 12 cents. May 1st. I don't know if this needs to be seen too, but yeah, this is probably anywhere from a $400 to $600 comic book.
Okay, so that's a fucking massive tip on any given day.
Yeah,
if somebody came in, so you made an impression on that person.
I mean, yes, and do I know that they knew how much this comic book was worth?
But I don't think that's important at this point, because like this is you said this is the first issue of Iron Man.
This is the first issue of Iron Man, not the first appearance, but the first issue.
Right.
So this is Iron Man's comic. I'm not a comic book person.
No way. I like fairies.
I'm a different kind of nerd.
Sure. No, I love it. So this would be the first series. Like this started every Iron Man comic afterwards.
Right. So that's huge.
Considering
financially or not, this is an important issue.
Correct.
And you were important enough to this person for the experience that he was going through to give you this important issue.
Yeah.
I think it's a 5. I think because of the impression that you made on this person and the fact that he thought that you did make that impression.
I'll take a 5.
That's what I think.
I'll take a 5.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll take a 5.
Because it's such a it wasn't just on a one-time meeting, right? You built this relationship, 4 or 6 months long, however long it took.
We got in a fight.
Yeah.
but maybe that was the fight he needed. Maybe that was
right.
People's beers. It's gross.
But maybe sometimes a lot of people just need that. I need somebody to check me.
Sure.
And maybe that's what he needed because you didn't see him again.
Greg was not.
He was in postal state, right? Like he's just now. Like sometimes you just need to be brought back down to reality.
You needed a parent or somebody to like
guidance.
Like, dude, come on,
man.
Like you're a good dude.
You get so stuck into your patterns, into the things that you do, that it just seems normal to you. When sometimes you just need somebody to be like, "Hey, buddy, you okay?
Yeah, maybe you should probably stop doing that.
Yeah, maybe we should think about something else.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I mean, I'm glad you said that. That's cool because, hopefully he stopped at the bar, he dropped off the comic book, and he never went back to a bar. That would be the best situation.
Right. Yeah, or even if he did go back to a bar, maybe he had straightened himself out enough to
Not drink the empties.
Right. Not drink the empties to have money to buy a beer.
Yeah.
Or to do whatever he needed to do to sort his life out enough to start living again.
Yeah.
Hopefully he got those comic books back and
Well, he obviously
He got him back.
Right.
I mean,
but I'm saying like to where then he like changed his life and like moved down to Florida and like got his shit together, you know,
Right.
or something.
moved down to Florida.
Or moved to the Quad Cities.
I don't think
Moved to
Florida's
Quad
where you
Cities.
go.
Quad Cities is worse than Florida. I mean,
I don't think either of those places are where you go
either
to
way.
get your
either
shit
way,
together.
yeah.
Hopefully he moved on. Like,
Right.
man, that would be cool. If that was his last. I mean, to know who he was. Like, if that was the last stop, that would make me super happy to know. Like,
Right.
he dropped this off and he never went to a bar again.
Absolutely.
Because he was the type of person that did not need to
Be in a bar.
be in a bar
Yeah.
Right.
at all. So
That's awesome.
thank you for the perspective on that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's my job. That's
I love that. I love that. That's really cool. Like, I never thought about any of that stuff. So
I try to let her rate the stories now first. and I'm like, oh,
she's
that's
like,
a good spin on
she's
it.
like, yeah. She's like, I know what's going on. Follow my lead. I know what I'm doing.
You're right.
Yeah.
The human condition is kind of what I do.
I like it. I like
That's
it.
what you went to expensive college for.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well, thanks, John, for being on here. What
Yeah.
we're going to do next is we're going to sit with John. We're going to talk about his bartending. And then there's a Mexico story in there that we're going to talk about.
There
for
is a
little bit.
Mexico story.
So
I've got photos of that too.
nice.
Of my foot.
Oh, I have those photos too. So if you want to learn more about that, just go check out our Patreon. And besides that, don't be a dick, tip your bartenders, and drink responsibly.
Cheers.